Welcome to a full-length yoga class where we're really going to be focusing a lot on listening, receiving, accepting. We've been talking in Nowhere Village a lot about communication, authentic communication, and something that I've learned living in this particular culture for the last 38 years is I think all of us have a lot to learn about the listening part of communication. And really all the practices we do have this aspect of just deep acceptance. The most simple way we do it, we call stillness, which is, seated meditation, where we sit and we just observe, witness what's arising, what's happening in our reality. And when we do what we're about to do now, the movement work, it's also this deep listening. It's just while we're moving our bodies and while we're putting ourselves in different poses. And it gives us this chance to take our attention from the outer places it's normally scattered and really bring it inward and learn how to do this inner listening. And it turns out the same obstacle when I'm having a difficult conversation with someone and I'm not able to listen to them, not able to really hear them. It's the same obstacle in the way when I'm doing my yoga practice and I'm multitasking and I can't really be in my body. It's our minds. It's on all the different ways that it shows up and all the different ways that it tells stories and theorizes. So I'm gonna today be really doing my best to help bring you back into just like the simplest version of experiencing, accepting, receiving what's happening inside. And this is sacred work. It's really, really simple, but it's really sacred work. So thanks for being here. We're going to begin with some deep massage work. So hopefully you have a massage ball, a tennis ball or a lacrosse ball can work as well. This is what I have here. If you ever have a question about the equipment or anything like that, just write me and I'll help you get your hands on what you need. But yeah, today we're going to do a few different places. So the first place that we're going to work on is my toughest spot usually, which is behind the heart. We'll do both sides. And we'll get a little time on both sides. So you can either lay on the ball, pinning it to your mat with that space and your shoulder. Choose whatever side you want to start. Or if this feels way too intense, you could go to a wall and pin the ball to a wall and do the same exercise that way. So I'm going to keep my eye on the time for us. And I want you to keep coming back to this receptivity. And so for me, when I'm doing the ball work, what's most helpful is feeling my breath. Feeling the sensations in that part of the body, which should be pretty strong and clear. And then, and this is a big piece, right? Let go of some of the effort, right? If we're always efforting, if we're always active, we can't totally receive, right? And this is this cultural piece, we're really into being actors, doers. And it can cut us off from, again, the listening piece. So important. So obviously when you're doing the ball work, you can move, you could kind of roll around on the ball. But I do want to make sure that you have today a lot of moments of deep receptivity. So also do find the moments of stillness and let gravity pull you down deeper toward the work, toward the sensation. Some people also would like to move the arm a little bit. If you do that, do it, and you've never done it before, especially, just do it really gently. And you'll get to explore the different spaces around that group of muscles. The fascia is sliding around over the muscles. And just a couple more breaths with this on this side. Savor them, receive them. And then switch to the other side. If this side is feeling too tender, you could go to the wall. And when you get to this side, arrive there, right? Before you start moving all around, before you start trying to work out all the kinks, arrive, feel, perceive, witness, breathe. And then if you choose to move around, right, we can do that. We can start to be more active without losing the receptivity, without losing the connection to the inner listening. And if that's ever not true, slow down. And today, maybe you skip a whole pose, right? So that you can just be with the listening. Totally fine. This is really the heart of what we're doing. Let go of some of the effort. If you move the arm on the other side, maybe you do that here. Last couple of breaths out of the mouth. And then our next spot is going to be the hips. And we're going to do one side, and then we're going to go onto the back, and we're going to get to the other side. So go ahead and pin the ball under one side. And if you need to just look at me first, I can just show you the spots. We're going to hit this spot right here between the pointiness of your hip and where this kind of juts out here. And then I'm going to roll onto my back, and I'm going to get this spot, basically kind of the ridge, right, at the crest of the sacrum right here. Okay, and then I'm going to go to the other side, and then we'll end up rolled onto the other side, and we'll get this, okay? So choose a side, and you may, some people like to put a block under their head here. It's more comfortable. You could prop yourself up on your arm. And I've chosen a total of really 4 areas that we'll work on today. And if you've ever got an acupuncture, there's a logic to the sequence, right? So we're opening up different energy places in the energy body that will then help the energy flow through the whole body pretty soon. But we start one place at a time, right? Listen to the place that's talking to you now, this side of your hip. Breathe deeply. You can move around a little bit. And in about 2 breath cycles, we're going to start to go onto the back and explore along the ridge of our sacrum above the flesh. Move slowly, and you'll probably hit some pretty interesting spots. Of course, anytime that we're doing this work, you can always do it at the wall. I won't keep repeating that, but you always can do that. And your hips are heavy, so if this feels too intense, nothing wrong with you. So now I'm on my back, and I'm just got the ball pinned under not my low back, but below that. Really as close as I can get to kind of the glutes, and you may even get some of the glutes if that feels really good, right? Each of us has got our own little kinks to work out. Breathe deeply till you make your way to sort of around the tailbone, and there's probably some spots, maybe especially along that left side of the tailbone that you want to get. Before crossing over to the other side of the tailbone, as we make our journey on to the other side, right, we're now going to go across for me it's the right side, but right, whatever this other side is of your sacrum. Now breathe deeply. Notice when you start to go into story, either a story about the feelings, right? It could be related to the yoga practice or the massage work, or it could be completely unrelated. But notice that's what keeps us from listening. And so lovingly let that go with no judgment. That's just your mind. It's doing its job, but you're choosing now to return to this sensation. We're going to make our way over to that opposite hip. So we're back on your side. Maybe you're propping up the side of your head with your arm. And arrive, right? Feel, receive the experience. Feel the breath moving around the spaces where there is sensation in your hips. All right. Now we're going to do more ball work soon. But first I want you to roll over onto your belly. And come into Sphinx. So elbows directly underneath your shoulders. Spread out your fingers. Spread out your toes as well. And you actually grip your toes to the ground for this one. And let your knees maybe even come off the ground. So you've got a lot of integrity in the legs. Belly engaged. Push down through your forearms. Pull your arms back and push them into the mat. And pull your heart forward. Notice where you feel the sensations here. Take a big breath in. And a big breath out. Now from here, you're going to actually lay your chest down. Take your hands back alongside your mid-ribs and come up again, but in a little cobra pose. Pull your elbows together. It's smaller shape, right? But you're pressing into your hands now. Use the strength of your hands. Pull the elbows together. You could have the toes tucked or not for this. But do notice what the legs are doing. And then you're going to push yourself up. Use the strength of your arms and your core. Go to child's pose. So you'll sit your hips back to your heels. Your hands will be forward. Your forehead will be on the ground. Now take a big breath into the spaces behind your heart where you had the ball. And then exhale out of your mouth into the ground like you're composting any stickiness that still is in there. Then take a big breath into the space of your hips that you just cleaned out. And expedite that process, breathing out of the mouth like you want to compost into the earth and thank her. Thank the earth for taking some of that toxicity and processing it with you, for you. Now you're going to come up and we're going to do the ball work with the hands. So another really, really important energy space to be cleared out. And you're just going to roll the ball under the hand. Now, I'm actually going to put this with another pose in a moment, but I just to get the hang of that, right? And you can sense how you could put a little more weight on it or less. So do the other side. Yeah. Okay. So really simple ball work with the hand. Now, we're going to do that, and we're going to add in a pose. And so here's how we're going to do it. You're going to take your left foot forward to the front of your yoga mat and lower your right knee. Those who have sensitive knees may want a blanket or just to fold their mat over. And go ahead and take your ball, put it toward the front of the mat, put weight on your right hand. Pick up your left hand and roll out the ball, the hand with the ball, while you breathe in and out of the front of the left hip, a space of the hips that we did not address yet. If this is too intense, right now we've got two areas of the body opening at once in different ways. If it's too intense, back off and do whichever one you want, right? You could just work with the hip, ditch the ball, or you could just work with the hand and the ball. 5 more breaths, big full breaths. Now put the ball off to the side. Hopefully it doesn't roll all over the place like mine does most of the time. You're going to come back up onto your hands and your knees and switch sides. So the right foot's going to come forward now. Set up your left knee comfortably, however you need to. Put weight on your left hand And it's your right hand that gets rolled out this time, unless you did the opposite last time. Just make sure you're balanced. And breathe deep. Notice when, this is another way of putting it, when what you're listening to is the inner dialogue, the inner narrative, your ideas about stuff, your concepts, your theories, your stories, your planning. Nothing wrong with any of that, but can we practice listening to something deeper, simpler, and in that way truer, right? More original. There's these feelings right here before there's a story. Give yourself permission to just be with that, be with life directly. All right, from here, again, we'll use the ball one more time, but we do have a couple of things to do first. Come back onto your hands and your knees, and just do on your own a few rounds of cat and cow. So feel the spaces that we have been opening up so far, and envision or feel that energy is moving in these spaces, and it's moving between these spaces. Make your way to downward dog as you're ready. And feel yourself in downward dog. Now, where we're going to open up really soon is your feet. That's the last spot that we're going to work on directly with the balls. But go ahead and feel your hands. Feel how your hands are like spread out here on your mat. So your feet pretty spread out on the mat. Feel the shoulders, and I'll show it from this side. Shoulders is pretty easy to get all kind of hunched up here, right? So can you actually let your head just kind of drop? Let your upper arms roll out, and the back of the neck should naturally elongate. Keep pressing into your hands the strength of your arms and also the strength of your belly. Give you all this spaciousness here. And then start to walk your feet forward until you end up in a standing forward fold at the front of your yoga mat. Really let your head drop when you get there, yeah. And so again, that all that space, we'll keep thinking about the spaces that we've already started to open. They're just becoming more and more open. They're spreading the openness throughout the rest of the spaces. So feel where you opened your shoulders and let that ripple through the elongated neck with your head at the bottom, making that nice weight. And then round yourself up. We will use the ball in just a moment to roll out the feet, just so you know. This last spot. And so you're going to step the right foot onto the ball, or the left, doesn't matter. We're just going to do each side. Once you come up to stand. And then you're rolling out, feeling the sensations. You're listening, right? You're listening to your foot. Breathe deeply as you feel. Imagine you could breathe in and out of the foot. Pause in places where it feels profound, feels appropriate. And then when you're ready, switch sides. Keep breathing really deeply here. I don't know why I haven't had my hands on my hips. You don't have to do that. You can have your arms relaxed, however you like. Now be with the experience of this foot, right? Not projecting. an experience from the other side or anything like that. Notice if there's a story. Oh, this foot should feel different. Let all of that go and just be with it. The feeling. All right. And then we're gonna let that go. We're gonna put the ball off to the side. And we're gonna stand really nice and tall and clear at the front of the yoga mat. Hands to prayer in front of the heart and close your eyes. Can you feel your feet now a little more open and connected to the floor? You feel the shoulders relax and the crown moving up. The openness of the palms, so an exchange of energy through the palms. And the hips are almost watery, right? The hips don't have sticky spaces so much anymore, so the energy is flowing through the whole body. If you have an intention that you'd like to set today, go ahead and clarify that. And then inhale, reach up and look up. Exhale, fold over your legs. Inhale, lengthen the spine. You could jump or step back. And you could choose chaturanga or knees, chest, chin. Inhale, upward dog or maybe little cobra pose. Exhale, downward dog. Really spread out through the hands and the feet again here. Really, really, really deep breaths. And then inhale, come forward to plank pose. And again, exhale, lower all the way onto your belly and set up Sphinx pose. And it might feel a little bit different this time after opening up the hands and the feet. Tuck your toes under and again, liven up the legs and the glutes. Press down through your arms, kind of pull the elbows back and pull the heart forward. Feel that the hands and the feet are lit up. And then let's do a lion's breath. So take a big breath in and then stick out your tongue as far as you possibly can and push the air out with the sound. From here, you can go ahead and take your hands back for that cobra pose, right? Pull your elbows together, elongate the back of your neck, and then make your way up and back to downward dog again. Look forward. You could step or hop the feet forward between your hands. Lengthen the spine as you arrive, and then dive down into your legs as you breathe out. Come all the way up, pushing the floor away with your feet, engaging through your bellies, and then lifting up through your arms, your bellies. And then lower the hands and let the gaze float down to the horizon again. Reach up again, breathe in. And then fold forward over your legs as you breathe out. Lengthen the spine, breathe in. You could step back with the opposite foot this time or jump back. You could lower chaturanga or knees, chest, chin, then come to upward dog or cobra as you breathe in. Downward dog, lifted hips, breathing out. Now inhale, lift your left leg up behind you. And exhale, step the foot forward between your hands. You're going to take the left arm up into the sky now, and you're going to end up in a twist, a low lunge twist. We'll hold this 5 breaths. Some people like to put a block under the right hand. Breathe 1. Now feel the energy moving in the spaces that we opened up. Breathing 2. Whatever information you find directly through your felt experience, stay with that. Breathe around that. Be with that. Then you'll lower the left hand. I want you to step back to plank pose, but really be light as you lift up the left foot. So it feels like you're almost hovering, right, as you step back. Ooh. Option to do another vinyasa here if you'd like, or just to meet me in downward dog. And then from downward dog, yet again, we'll come to three-legged dog. This time the right leg lifts. So you take a big breath in. Step the right foot forward between your hands. Raise the right arm so you're in this twist. Take your time, right, moving through each shape. Again, We want to be more receptive than active. So we're doing stuff, right? But we're doing it with listening. Listening to the effort that it takes to do this pose and letting go of all the dialogue about that effort, right? I don't need any extra effort. Last breath. Can you receive the feeling of the pose a little more? You're going to step back, but again, if we go slow and we're really strong here, pressing down into the hands, might be able to really pick up that right foot and float it back. Option to take some kind of vinyasa, not at all necessary. Meeting in downward facing dog and feeling your breath there. Let this exhale go all the way till it's gone. And then let the inhale float the left leg up again. We'll do the same thing as we did before. Step the left foot forward. Low lunge, lift the left arm, twist. Now, come up to warrior two. I like this transition. It's challenging. Press down through your feet. Spin the right heel down the back heel, and then you'll end up unwinding the chest so the chest and the hips face the same side. Go nice and deep, left knee over your left ankle. Breathe as you gaze over the left fingers for 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 5. Beautiful. So now you're going to straighten your left leg, parallel your feet to the side. We'll interlace the fingers behind the back. We're just going to take a straddle forward fold. Find the inhale first. As you reach the arms back behind you, you look up. Then exhale, come forward. If this arm variation doesn't work for you, this is one place it's nice to have a strap sometimes. You get more space back there. It can feel great. You could grab that if you want. Or just do something else, right? You can put your hands on the ground and skip the shoulder part and really focus on the sensation in the legs. Breathe here for 2. Feel your breath. Feel where the sensations are. And let them meet, right? Breath and sensation coming together. 4. Exhale. 5. Now, you're going to look a little forward. You can put your hands on the ground for this transition. Turn to face the front of the mat to low lunge again. But we're actually going to add in another pose, Ardha Chandrasana. You might want your block nearby. You're going to shift the weight, right? Your left toe point toward the front of the mat again. Then you're going to shift the weight onto the left foot, left hand. Right arm could come up, stacking on top of the left. Or if you need more balance or security, right hand could just be on the top hip. That can really help. If you have another variation you like, play with that. Breathe deeply for 2. Feel it, right? Where are the sensations in this pose? Send the breath there. 3. And let go of the story of it, right? Let go of comparing it to my pose or the pose you did last week. That's not listening, right? It's not listening to what's now. Beautiful. Okay, you're going to look down. This transition now, we're going to come to chair pose. So step the right foot next to the left and then Utkatasana chair. You'll sit deep and low. Once you get your balance, the left arm and the right arm can come up. Take an inhale. And then let the exhale bring you all the way up to Samastitihi, even standing pose. Again, Utkatasana. So sit your hips back, take the arms up, inhale. Then put your hands on the ground, belly on your thighs. Exhale, straighten your legs. We're going to make our way back to dog. Inhale, lengthen the spine. And then maybe you want to jump back. Maybe you want to step on back. Lifted heart on an in-breath. And hips up and back on an out-breath. So we're back in downward dog again, where we start the other side. So inhale, right leg lifts high. Exhale, right foot steps forward. Inhale, right arm to the sky. There's the twist. Warrior two as you breathe out. So you push down into the ground, engage your core, trust your feet and legs. Come on up. And find a nice deep version of this. Like to work right at the edge. If you're going past it, you won't be able to breathe. You won't be able to listen. And if you're not quite at it, it's just not going to feel satisfying by the end of this, right? You know where you need to work. Be there, breathe for two. Breathe. Three. Let the breath support you. We want to get to that place where we do need it. We need to call it in, right? Last breath. And then we'll do the straddle to the side. So you can parallel your feet facing the side. Grab your strap if you like that, or interlace your fingers. Press down through your feet. Pull down through the arms and look up. Lift up the chest. Then fold forward. And I like to envision my breath as like an explorer of these spaces that I'm opening. So it's almost like with that ball work, we opened the roads. And now the breath can travel through these roads inside your shoulders, hands, hips, feet, and all the spaces in between. And if you're a visual person, you might work with that visual when you do your movement practices. Try it, you know. We're going to start to take the hands to the ground. Take your time, be gentle with the neck as you transition. You're going to come up with the head and then turn everything to face the front of the mat again. Organize yourself in the foundation first. So right toes really nicely aligned forward, then put the weight on the right foot, weight on the right hand, Ardha Chandrasana half moon. I love a block under my right hand. It just helps to kind of square off the whole pose. Breathe, feel. This is you. This is you being. If you're falling, beautiful, you're being, you know. You're expanding, expand. Last breath. And then look down and step the left foot next to the right foot. Again, chair pose. But now we're just going to add on hands to prayer. You're going to twist to your right. So Utkatasana twist. Sit back deep and low. Gaze over your right shoulder. Breathe for one. Work the breath through these spaces, two. Breathe, three. 4, is there a story about the pose you can drop so the last breath is just being the pose? 5, come all the way up, all the way up, all the way up. Big breath in. Exhale, fold over your legs. Big breath out, 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 out. Utkatasana chair. So you sit the hips back, deep and low. You take the arms up. Core has got to be engaged for this. Twisting the opposite way. Right arm now hooks outside of the left. Palms in prayer in front of your sternum. Gaze over left shoulder. 1. 2. 3. 4. Exhale, 5. Unwind yourself, come all the way up, 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 up. And this time just lower the arms. Stand tall and clear. Let the arms dangle from the shoulders equally, evenly. Press down into the floor and lift up through the crown. So it's like 2 opposite directions. Good, then open the eyes. We're gonna do that sequence again in a moment. I just want us to clear up the shoulders a little bit more. And so this is kind of fun. You're going to do one arm, do a big circle with one arm, and then the other arm, and then see if you can get them going one after the other, like 2 little windmills. And we'll do it in this direction for a little bit and then we'll switch. But for now, have fun with it. See if you can kind of free it a little bit. If you bend the knees a little bit, you might be able to get a little wilder with it. Watch out for stuff around you. And you're just freeing stuff up in the shoulders. Notice what happens if you let the elbows bend a little bit. If that changes, I get into different spaces. Great, and then we're gonna try to do the opposite way. So now I'm going forward as opposed to back. But don't worry if you get confused about that at all. Your shoulders will feel great no matter what. But so now just taking the circles the opposite way. And again, maybe you play with the speed. Maybe you play with bending the elbows or the knees. And then go ahead and let that rest and just shake out the hands. Shake, shake, shake. And then do this. So the arms dangle and you're gonna bounce. You're gonna bounce the shoulders. It's really kind of happening from my legs, right? My legs bouncing. And then I don't do anything with my arms and naturally the shoulders will bounce. And if it feels good, you could also twist a little bit with this. But I want it to feel like really free, like you're not really doing much, right? The bouncing is doing the work. The shoulders are relaxed. Okay. After all of that, go ahead and come back to the hands in front of the heart. Come back to being, breathing, and feeling. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold forward. See if you can make this flow cycle pretty graceful. And inhale, lengthen your spine. You could jump or step back to chaturanga or knees, chest, chin. Upward dog. And by graceful, what I really mean is just slow and conscious. And at this point in the practice, you may be able to really find the breath, like really fully. And if the breath guides this, it will feel like grace. Exhale everything out. Inhale, lift the left leg. Almost like you're moving through honey. Set the left foot forward between your hands. Lift the left arm. Breathe in. Warrior two, come all the way up as you breathe out. Straighten that front leg, parallel your feet to the side, interlace fingers behind your back as you breathe in, lift the chest. Breathe out, fold, straddle, forward fold. Take your hands to the ground. There's no rush. As you breathe in, you turn to face the front of the mat, low lunge. Left toes face forward. As you breathe in, you're going to come up into Ardha Chandrasana. Stay there for the out breath. Then look down. Set the right foot next to the left. Utkatasana. Find an inhale as you sit back. Hands to prayer, twist to your right. Find an exhale. Look over the right shoulder. Inhale, come all the way up, all the way up, all the way up. Exhale, dive forward over your legs. Inhale, lengthen your spine. You could do one more jump back or step back, lowering down. Then lifting up the heart, coming to the tops of the feet, up dog. And then lifting the hips, pressing into your hands and your feet, downward dog. Inhale, lift your right leg high, going slow with the breath. That's where the freedom is. Right foot comes forward. Right arm lifts, breathe in. Warrior two, come all the way up, pressing the floor away with your feet. Breathe out, gaze over right fingers. Then straighten the right leg, parallel those feet, interlace fingers behind your back. Big breath in, lift your chest. Fold forward for the straddle, forward fold as you breathe out. Hands down, low lunge, face the front as you breathe in, looking forward. Then Ardha Chandrasana, weight on right foot, right hand, left arm and leg lift. Breathe out there. Left foot next to right, Utkatasana. Breathe in. Twist to the left, right arm outside of the left leg. As you breathe out, twisted Utkatasana. As you breathe in, come all the way up, 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 up. Straight legs, open heart, look up. And lower the arms, lower your eyelids, and just stand and breathe. All right. Utkatasana one last time. Sit deep and low. We'll take it all the way down to the ground. You may need to use your hands. And then you're going to sit for Baddha Konasana, soles of the feet together, knees apart. Press through your heels, lift up through your chest, and then fold forward. This is one area of the hips that we didn't quite access. We got kind of all these different spaces, but the inner groin didn't really get a lot of love. So however you feel it, feel it. We'll be here about another 8 breaths. So if you want to back off a little bit or use a block under your head or something like that, you can. Some people like blocks under the knees. And then wherever you are, what would it feel like to do a little less effort, do a little more trust, a little more following, listening, being guided, being guided. Can you feel the breath traveling in the roadways that you opened up earlier and making new roadways? Make your way all the way up to sit. End up with the feet underneath your knees and your hands behind you, reverse tabletop. Lift up so the knees, hips, heart are roughly in a line. Press down through your hands, and can you open up the front of the chest a little bit more? We'll do a lion's breath here. Inhale. Then stick out the tongue as far as you can. Come on back down. Put your toe tips on the ground. Bring your arms forward. We're going to round our way onto our back. And once you get there, you may want to block. And here are a couple ways you might want to use the block. Well, here's way number 1. Let's all put the block between the thighs if you have it. And if you don't need it. And just squeeze that block and press into your feet so much that your hips become light and they just lift up. So you're in a simple bridge pose with the block, just if you have it, helping you find the integrity of your legs. The belly is also helping keep the hips up. All of that's really nice and secure and engaged. And then notice what's going on behind your heart. Can you push down, and your arms might help you, your arms on the mat. Push down, and you may want to also kind of pick them up and wiggle a little bit, but can you now lift up the space right behind your heart? Don't lose the engagement of the legs. Okay, come back down. Take the block and just put the block on your belly for a sec, and if you have it, and then feet wide, knees together. My classes, you can totally do them without any of these props. I love the props. I think they're really helpful for the kind of work that we do here, but at the end of the day, it's about this inner listening and moving your body, right? Moving the energy. Okay, that was just a little rest. We're going to do either another one of those, if that felt right and good, or maybe you lift up and put the block under your sacrum now and just rest the sacrum heavy down into the block. Or maybe you feel like a full wheel pose would be really great. Challenge yourself with the block between the thighs again if you can. For full wheel, you put the hands alongside the ears. It starts the same by squeezing the block so much, engaging the feet, engaging the belly so much. The hips just lift up on their own. But then now you also lift up onto the hands, lift up the head, and come up. 1, 2. Feel the breath moving through the roadways. Let go of everything that isn't a direct experience right now. 4, 5, Come down if you've been in active bridge or wheel. Stay on the block if you're on the block. Now, we're all going to meet on the block. And you can figure out where it's most comfortable for you. Now, the next shape that we're going to do, you're just going to pick up your right foot, cross it over your left thigh, and you can just let that right knee drop forward. So you can feel this is a hip stretch. Really simple. If it feels good, and it might feel weird with the block, so just take your time. It feels different for me. You might want to also lift up your left leg and gather that in with your hands and deepen the stretch. Feel the breath. Now, we did work out some of these spaces where you're probably feeling sensation. Let this pose deepen that work. Let the breath move through those spaces. Last exhale, might want to go out of the mouth. Feel Father Sky taking that into the atmosphere and transforming it into clean breath, right? Clean air. And then you can, let's go ahead and start with both feet back on the ground just for a second and just feel both sides, right? There's that listening piece. And then go ahead and try the other side, left ankle over the right thigh. And first, it might just feel great just to have the right foot stay on the ground, the left knee just comes forward. And then I breathe into that space there. Or it might feel really nice to gather the right thigh in. Deep, full breaths. 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe you want to breathe out of your mouth. Letting the elements help us, right? They're already helping us. Once we recognize it, we can really receive that help. You're going to put your feet back on the ground. Next pose is also a nice restorative pose on the back. Not everyone can do this. So I'll show it to you and then we can talk about alternatives. Pick up your right foot and you're going to see if you can take the top of the foot to the ground alongside your block. And then that will mean that the shin and the top of the foot and the front of the ankle are on the ground. Your thigh is getting a big old stretch. Your hip flexor probably as well. This doesn't work for a lot of people. And there's lots of different ways we can mess with it. But for time's sake, if this doesn't work, what I would say is just come up and do a forward fold that you like. Or do another hip stretch that you like. We're going to stay on this side for 5 more breaths. Deep, slow, loving breaths. We love the body so much, we're willing to listen to it. To just hang out and hear what it has to say. Feel the information that it's offering us. Appreciate the experience of embodiment. Now, if this reclined pose works for you, I'm going to talk you out of it. If you're doing something else, you get another 8 breaths. So either stay where you are or do it at the other side or do a different pose. Okay, another forward fold or hip opener maybe. If you're in the restorative pose, this half reclined virasana is what this is. Press down into the foot that's on the ground and lift up your hips enough that you can slide that bent knee out and then switch sides. So now to pick up the left foot, tuck it, top of the foot down alongside of your left hip. it may not work. If that left foot, sometimes it's the ankle tightness, right? But if that left foot is kind of scrunched off to the side, it's going to tweak your knee. So definitely opt for a different version of this or a different pose if that's happening. Everybody settle into whatever pose you're in, whatever side you're on. 5 breaths. As if each breath could last a whole month, right? Because you're so not in a rush anymore. All right. So we want to extract ourselves really gently and intelligently, right? So you're going to pick up the hips by pressing into the right foot, and then you can slide out the left, hopefully. And then I want you to choose one inversion, and that could be just right where you are with the block. If you still have it there, you could just lift your legs up and boom, you're in a really sweet, simple inversion. This is also really wonderful to do with your legs propped up against a wall. Then you get that extra support, less effort, again, deeper listening perhaps. Of course, headstand or shoulder stand are beautiful options. And I just became aware of my hands, right? So often I kind of will just put my hands anywhere when I do this pose, this Viparita Karani. And it's fine, they can go anywhere, but just notice where you place everything. Take your time with whichever shape you're in and notice. Feel the different spaces inside. If you feel like you want to practice a little longer before your Shavasana, you could carry on. But that's our next stop altogether, and is Shavasana, final rest, corpse pose. Final surrender, total receptivity, right? No more action. Get as comfortable as you can, and if you have anything that feels nice to put over top of the body to help it feel grounded or warmed, you could do that. Become as heavy as you can into the earth. Let the breath naturally slow down so that you're no longer doing the breath, you're no longer doing your techniques. If you're still making sound with your breath or doing ujjayi or something, let that go. Learn how to let that go at the end of your practice. Even let go of your bandhas, right? Let go of everything that's technical, technique, that's trying, everything you've learned. And arrive at the space before knowing. Like a baby being held by cosmic mom and dad. Let all the sensations wash through you, sound. Become the witness who makes no effort in witnessing. It's just what you are. The witness knows life is already beautiful and needs no improving, and so is satisfied just to watch, feel, grateful just to be. See if you can get just a little bit softer, especially in your shoulders, hips, hands, and feet. Feel those spaces and everything in between just dissolving. Everything that's not necessary getting washed away. If you want to stay in this Shavasana longer, you can. But if you're ready, you're going to really slowly bring life back into those areas again, your shoulders, your hips. Breathe in and out of them, your hands and your feet. Let a little more of an active energy again start passing through those roads you've opened. Make your way gently onto one side. If you get too active, you might lose that receptivity, and notice that and be willing to slow down if that happens. Be willing to take an extra breath cycle before you make your next move. Find your way all the way up to sit eventually. And take the opportunity to close your practice. That's a really sacred and powerful thing to do, to really clearly demarcate the end. You can use whichever gesture you like. I bring my hands together in prayer, and I bring my intention back to my attention back to my intention, my care, my love. And we'll chant one Om here together as well. Bowing down to the love and the truth inside of all beings everywhere. Om Bolo Shri Sat Guru Mata Devi Ki.